You tuck a child into bed, you open a storybook, and somehow within 3 pages, there's a wolf, a witch, a dark forest, a locked tower, and someone's grandmother in serious danger. And the weirdest part? The child wants you to keep reading. Most adults assume scary stories are bad for children. Too dark, too violent, too much. But the strange truth is this: a little fear, in the right kind of story, may not damage a child's mind. It may help train it. Not because children need trauma. They don't. But because children need a safe place to practice being afraid. By the end of this video, you'll understand why fairy tales are full of monsters, why children keep asking for scary stories, and why fear, when handled carefully, can become one of the most useful emotions a child learns to manage. Here's what you need to know first. Children do not meet fear for the first time in horror movies. They meet it everywhere. In the dark hallway, in hide and seek, in being separated from a parent, in hearing a strange noise at night. Fear is part of childhood because uncertainty is part of childhood, and stories give that uncertainty a shape. A wolf, a witch, a monster under the bed, a forest where you can get lost. That might sound cruel, but psychologically, it does something important. It turns invisible fear into something a child can look at. Researchers sometimes call this recreational fear. Scary experiences that are frightening, but also playful, controlled, and sometimes enjoyable. A 2025 study of 1,600 parents and caregivers found that children engage with recreational fear in different ways as they grow. Younger children often experience it with family. Older children increasingly seek it with friends. Think about that. Children don't only avoid fear, sometimes they rehearse it. They play monster. They ask for the scary part again. They want the story where the witch appears, but only if they know they are safe while hearing it. That safety is the difference. Fear in real life says, run. Fear in a story says, stay, watch, and learn. But this is where people get it wrong. Because this does not mean all scary stories are good for all children. Some scary stories help. Some overwhelm. And the difference is not the monster. The difference is whether the child still feels in control. We'll come back to that, because it changes the whole question. A scary story is like a flight simulator for fear. The danger feels real enough to matter, but not real enough to destroy you. A child can feel the tension rise. They can wonder if the hero will survive. They can feel their heart speed up. And then, if the story is told well, they also experience relief. The wolf is defeated. The witch is exposed. The child finds the way home. That emotional arc matters. Fear rises. Fear peaks. Fear ends. And that teaches something simple but powerful. This feeling will not last forever. Researchers have argued that fairy tales can support children's emotion regulation because they place children inside emotionally charged imaginary situations. In other words, the story is not just entertainment. It is emotional practice. Forget the theory for a second. Imagine a child listening to Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf is not just a wolf. He is the stranger who seems friendly. The forest is not just a forest. It is the world outside adult protection. The grandmother's house is not just a house. It is the place that was supposed to be safe, until it wasn't. The child does not need to understand all of this consciously. The story does the work underneath. It says, not everyone who smiles is safe. Not every path is harmless. But danger can be recognized. And stories can be survived. Now, here's the important part. Scary stories are not magic medicine. A 1993 study found that frightening stories can increase anxiety in children after exposure. So the point is not, scare children as much as possible. That is terrible advice. The point is, age-appropriate fear, chosen freely, in a safe setting, with an adult nearby, can be different from fear that is forced, confusing, or too intense. Fear becomes useful when the child can say, stop. Again. That was scary. I'm okay. This is why the same story can help one child and overwhelm another. The child's age matters. Their temperament matters. The story matters, and the adult sitting next to them matters. So why do children need scary stories? Not because childhood should be frightening, but because childhood already contains fear. Scary stories give fear a costume. They make it visible. They put it inside a beginning, middle, and end. And most importantly, they let the child experience fear while still being safe. That is the hidden power of fairy tales. The monster enters. The child trembles. The story continues. And eventually, the monster loses. So the next time a child asks for the scary story again, it might not mean something is wrong. It might mean their mind is doing something ancient, practicing fear, testing courage, learning that darkness can be entered and left. A good scary story does not just teach children that monsters exist, it teaches them that monsters can be faced. And if you found this interesting, subscribe, because every story is secretly teaching psychology.